Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Success Express webinar on trademarks. I am Allison Chisholm from Choice Words Chisholm and Company, and I am a member of the Quarter 9 495 Regional Chamber of Metro West Programs Committee. The mission of the Quarter 9 495 Regional Chamber of Metro West is to be a dynamic regional business organization striving to promote growth, prosperity, and quality of life for our members and our communities. So the purpose for our webinar is for chamber members to help with their professional and business development. Each webinar is designed to be interactive and presented by chamber members who are experts in their fields. So with that said, I would like you to turn your video on, which helps the presenter gauge their presentation, but this is also a networking event. And if you could put your contact information in the chat box, that way others can reach out to you. So now I'd like to thank and introduce Dave Kaiser, the Senior Vice President of Central One Federal Credit Union, and that is a sponsor of the Success Express webinar. If you could say a few words, Dave, welcome.
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. As Allison said, I'm Dave Kaiser, Senior Vice President of Retail Services here at Central One. Central One is proud to sponsor the Quarter 9 495 workshop series. And for those of you who are not familiar with us or with credit unions, I just want to give you a little overview. We are a financial cooperative that is 100% owned by our customers, whom we happen to refer to as members. We offer personal and business banking, all forms of insurance, as well as investment and retirement planning services for individuals and businesses. We're truly a one-stop for all financial needs. And since our founding in 1952, Central One has grown to be one of the largest credit unions here in Massachusetts. We are also very proud that we're a perennial award winner in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette's Best of Central Mass Reader Survey, and not only in the credit union and financial planning categories, but our Oak Tree Insurance Agency has won Best Insurance Agency here in Central Mass the past 3 years. So we're really grateful that those who we serve appreciate our unique ability to meet all their financial needs holistically under one roof. And again, we are very pleased to sponsor this workshop series and hope that you enjoyed today's program. And I will turn it back over to Allison.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Central One Federal Credit Union. So I would like to introduce our speaker now. Today we have with us attorney Jason M. Toomey. He's the founder of IntelliState Law, a single attorney Massachusetts firm focused on intellectual property and estate planning. With over 15 years of experience, Jason is passionate about helping his clients protect their innovations and their legacies. Before launching his own practice, he spent nearly a decade and a half leading patent prosecution for a Boston tech startup, where he built and managed a portfolio of over 300 patents. Jason graduated summa cum laude from New England Law, Boston, where he was first in his class. With a background in electrical engineering, Jason is a registered patent and trademark attorney with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. He's gained extensive patent protection for a wide range of inventions, from electrical and mechanical engineering to software and business methods. When he's not working with clients, Jason is an enthusiastic scuba diver. On weekends, you can find him exploring the waters off the coasts of Gloucester and Rockport, Mass., or adventuring in Maine and Rhode Island. Jason brings the same energy and dedication to his law practice, working closely with each client to craft customized solutions that meet their needs. Jason, it's all yours. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're still using this microphone. All right. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. We are going to talk about protecting your brand today with trademarks. So I've got my title slide up here. And usually the title slide is just a placeholder, right? Okay, this is what we showed up for. But I want you to take a good look at the lower corners of this, right? There's 2 logos in there. And I just kind of want you to look at those logos and just kind of make yourself a note of what, if anything, that those logos are making you feel right now, right? I mean, maybe it's nothing, but that's okay. But just we're going to come back to it in a little bit. But just humor me, and it's going to go somewhere. I am going to. All right, we're moving. So, quick disclaimer before we get started. Okay, this webinar is designed for informational use only. Okay, so IntelliState Law, that's my law firm, and Cord and I, neither of us are giving any legal advice here. We're not creating any kind of attorney-client relationship. If you're going to do anything with your trademark rights, I want you to talk to a trademark attorney directly, like IntelliState Law. Let's do a one-on-one. Before you make any action. Don't take any legal action based on this information. And if you stay to the end of the seminar or the end of the video, if you're watching this on video, I'm gonna talk about a special offer you can do to help you get some actual legal advice instead of just information. All right, just set the table here. Brief agenda. What we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what we mean when we say brand. It's a little bit of a nebulous concept, and I want to make sure we all understand that. It's very important, though. We're going to explore what the value of brands are and why they're so important to protect, and then we're going to talk about how trademarks actually provide that protection. And then we're going to finish up learning about the different kinds of trademarks because there's a lot in there. And then we're also going to talk about how you go about actually getting trademark protections to protect your brand. So that's the flow of the talk here. A little about me. You just heard the whole my whole bio there, so I won't belabor the point. That's me pre-beard in 2017 when I gave a talk at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I was very honored to be invited down there to do that. And I have been doing this a long time. I was in-house. We have now started IntelliState Law, which is my own practice, single attorney firm. We are just dedicated to really helping independent business owners, independent inventors, and we also do estate planning. We're just asset protection is our focus. And we do everything with fixed flat fee pricing, and we do everything where I can take the time I need to make sure things are done correctly and things like this. All right, so let's just jump right into the presentation. I want to start with what is a brand, right? Is your brand your business name, right? That creative name that came up with your business. Is it your logo, right? I have a logo. A lot of people have their fun logos. Is that what your brand is? What about your tagline? Maybe you've got a great tagline you came with. That must be your brand, right? That's what you're putting on your business cards. Or is it something else? Is your brand not just those things? And a little hint, it's probably something else, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it. So the best way I thought we could do this is let's talk about an example of a brand. And I picked my favorite brand, and we did get permission. I think we all know it, Yummy Mummy Bakery, right? This is my favorite bakery. I think we all know it in the chamber. We've all seen Melissa at events and gotten to try those brownies or those other great treats she makes. So she has this is her name, right? And that's a logo pulled from her website. She also has this symbol that she uses sometimes. And I want you to think about what you think about or how you react when you see this name or when you see this, logo on a treat, right? You're like, oh, that's special. I know for me, I was at the golf event a few months ago, right? And Karen snuck me one of the brownies that Melissa had brought for the banquet. And on my way home, I called my wife to let her know how the event went. And I said, and Karen snuck me a brownie. She's like, oh, that's good. I'm like, yeah, it's from Yummy Mummy. She's like, whoa, you're bringing that home, right? We're going to share that. Because there's this idea that this is very good, right? It's not just any bakery, it's Yummy Mummy. This is, something that you're going to drive across town for. This is something that you're going to make sure you share with your wife, right? That idea, right, is in there. And that's really what brand is, right? It's the something else, okay? It's the reputation that you've created in your clients or in your potential clients or in the marketplace, right? It's your identity. This is who we are. This is why we're different. Yummy Mummy, they use better ingredients. They have better treats. They all of those great things. And every one of us, there's something special about our business. We're different than everybody else for some reason. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business, right? And what we say in the legal world is it's the goodwill you've created in the marketplace. You've done a lot of hard work. You spent your time, your money, and your attention to create this value in the marketplace. And this idea, this association with your brand, who you are and what you do compared to everybody else. And, you know, simply put, that makes your brand the most valuable business asset you have, right? This idea, this association in the marketplace with that goodwill, that's what you're spending all of this time, money, and attention to create. And that's what we want to protect here. It's not just the name, it's that. So now that we sort of understand that, what's the danger here? What do I mean when I say we have to protect that brand? Let's go back to Yummy Mummy, right? Here's her logo that's on her website, right? That's very similar to what she packages on the treats. Let's say I'm driving home from work one night and I pass a new bakery a couple towns over, right? And that's Delicious Daddy Bakery on the road. What do I think when I see this, right? If I'm just looking at the names, right, the names are different, but the way this is set up, you know, with the script top and the block letters on the bottom, it seems like it's a play on Yummy Mummy, doesn't it? And it's using blue instead of pink because it's daddy instead of mummy. Now I might think, okay, this is a different bakery. Maybe they're just doing a little bit of a spoof. But I might think as a consumer, oh, Melissa opened up a second location. Great, awesome. I'm going to go in there, right? I might get that association because they're playing off it. And all of that goodwill, all of that reputation that they've developed is getting kind of stolen, right? That's getting me to walk into this new bakery, Delicious Daddy, because they're using that. Let's look at another example, right? Her other logo, YM Bakery. Say there's another bakery that opens up and they want to call themselves Yum Mum Baked Treats, and they're using that exact same pink color, and they're using a similar font and a very similar name. I think most people, right, would be very confused. They would think, oh, this must be another Yummy Mummy location. Maybe this is the grab and go location. I'm going to pop in there. You know, because they're, again, grabbing that goodwill, grabbing that business identity. And there's two issues that we really worry about here when that's the case, right? That one's kind of obvious, and one's not so obvious. I mean, I think the obvious one is lost customers, right? My bakery buying dollars are going into, that other bakery, Delicious Daddies, and that's lost sales, you know, and that's lost revenue. That's bad. No one's going to say it's not bad, but there's something that's worse, right? The second thing, damage to the brand, right? Imagine I walk into Delicious Daddies on my way home. I'm thinking I'm getting one of those, you know, brownies, one of those cupcakes, one of those muffins that or cakes and pies that I love so much. And Delicious Daddies doesn't do the things that the way Yummy Mummy does. They don't use the same ingredients. They don't take the same care. And it's just so-so, you know, it's just like an ordinary bakery. What do I think? Maybe, hopefully, I think, oh, geez, I got confused. This really isn't Yummy Mummy. This is a different bakery. But it's really possible, right, that I'm going to think, oh, geez, Yummy Mummy's gone downhill. All right. And all of that hard work that they've done to create that special feeling about their business gets damaged because these Delicious Daddies or Yum Mum walked in and tried to steal that goodwill. So again, your brand, it's the most valuable business asset you have. And this is the reason why it's so hard to build. It takes so much effort to build, and it can be damaged if people start misusing it or trying to leech off of it. And this is exactly what a trademark protects. All right. A trademark isn't just no one can use my business name. No one can use a logo like mine. Trademarks protect the reputation, the identity, and the goodwill of your business. All right. Let's go back to that first slide. And remember, I told you to take a look at those two logos at the bottom. You know, in the lower left-hand corner on that very first title slide, you saw my IntelliState Law logo, right? With my big symbol there. What did that make you think? All right. If you've never heard of me, if you've never met me, you've never dealt with me, maybe nothing. Like, I don't know who IntelliState Law is. And that's okay, because you saw my stamp at the beginning of this. I marked this presentation, this whole webinar. And now what I'm hoping is, as I'm going through this, as I'm spending these 40 minutes or so with you, maybe I'm gaining your trust. Maybe I'm showcasing what I do, why my firm's different than other firms, and maybe that builds that brand just a little bit in your mind, right? That's good. But maybe you have heard of me. You know, maybe we have met at an event. Maybe, you know me from one of the groups in the chamber, and you're going to say, oh, you see that logo at the bottom of the corner, you're going to sit up and you're going to say, wait a minute, oh, this is Jason, this is IntelliState Law. oh, I'm going to pay attention to this a little more than I would. I'm not going to check my email. This, when he does things, he knows what he's talking about, right? Because that goodwill I've developed, right? In the other corner, we had the Chamber 9 logo, right? We all love Chamber 9. When I get an email from a Chamber 9 event, I know it's going to be a good use of my time, right? I know that event, they have proven to me consistently that when they do things, their staff's going to go above and beyond. It's going to be good for my business. It's going to be good for me, right? So when I see that on this webinar at the beginning, I know, okay, Chamber 9's putting this on. This is worth my time, right? That's what we mean. That's the reputation, the identity, and the goodwill. That's what we're building, and that's what we're trying to protect. Does that make sense? All right, I'm gonna all thumbs up. Good. So let's start talking about what a trademark is now. Okay, a trademark is anything, literally anything that can be used to identify the source of a product or service. That's what they are. They're these little identifiers of where a product or service is coming from. And when we say anything, we really mean anything. All right. The most popular trademarks are going to be words, right? You might have the name of the business, right? Burger King, Apple, Ford. We know these. These are just the names of the business. But trademarks can also be the names of your products, right? The Whopper, the iPod, the Culotta, the F-150. They can also be a tagline. Have it your way, think different. These are all trademarked. It's anything that's used to identify where things are coming from. You see think different stamped on something. Oh, this is Apple, right? You know that's where that's coming from. Have it your way. That's Burger King, right? And it does two things, right? It's telling what's different and it's tying you back to that business. What's great about word marks, and different to the marks that we're about to talk about, is word marks. You get any font you want, you get any kind of capitalization you want, you get the word in any form whatsoever. That's a little different than the next kind we're going to talk about, which are symbols and logos, right? So there's no words on these pages, but we know what all these companies are, right? Apple, NBC, Nike, Mercedes, right? They've created those associations. You see that Nike symbol on a t-shirt, on a pair of running shorts, even though it's not sneakers, you associate whatever feelings you have about the Nike brand with that article of clothing. And you're like, okay, this is good or bad, right? And hopefully Nike thinks it's good. Same thing with Apple, right? You see Apple, on a different types of, your phone or your computer, you associate that. You can also have combinations of words and symbols. We call these hybrid marks, but where you have a very specific, it's basically a logo with words in it, right? And the reason you would do that compared to a regular word mark is, I think it's the Ford one is a good example. I mean, that's iconic. Ford in that script, in that oval, I mean, that says Ford. I don't even have to read the word, or Coca-Cola, right? I mean, I never read the word. I never actually look at those individual letters. I just see that scripty language and that white swoosh in the red background, and I know that's Coke, right? So this is another thing. So these are the three most popular types and the types you'd most likely use. But other things, it's anything that can be as a symbol. Colors. One of my favorite examples, John Deere, right? You walk in and you see that yellow and green together, right? What you know it's John Deere. You don't need to see the little deer jumping across the logo. You don't need to see the words John Deere. If I walk in a Home Depot and there's a yellow and green toaster, I'm like, whoa, John Deere makes a toaster? I'm going to try that out. That's really cool, right? You just know that just from the color. Again, it's these identifiers. Another fun example, the red bottoms on the shoes. I can't even pronounce what this company is. My wife was making fun of me last night, like Louis Vuitton, right? Not Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton. I buy my wife a DSW gift card every year for her birthday. We are not in the Louis Vuitton world, but even I know when I see red bottoms on the shoes, those are cool shoes, right? Those are very high-end, important shoes, and that color. You may have noticed this whole presentation has orange and green all over it, right? Those are my colors, right? That's what I use sort of to brand myself a little bit. And all of my marketing material, my website, even my, letterhead has that orange and green, probably because my affinity for John Deere. What a great mark I think that is. We sneak that in, that green with that splash of orange. And lastly, just because this is interesting sounds, right? I put this up. You probably all heard the chimes in your head as soon as you saw this. Bing, 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 right? And then, ABC has their own do, 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 right? Um, you've all heard that. That sound, you hear that NBC chime, you're ready to watch Friends, right? You're ready to watch ER. I'm dating myself with these references, but um, a sound can be, it's that identifier. This is an NBC show. You're about to watch an NBC program, and all of the goodwill that you feel about NBC goes into seeing that product. So just to sum up, it's anything. A trademark is anything that can be used as an indicator that your marked product or service is from your brand. All right. And again, why is that important? Because we can get protection, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, on those trademarks and who can use those trademarks. And so if we're using those to indicate to the consumers, to the marketplace, this comes from me. This brownie is from Yummy Mummy only, and no imitators. That's what we use a trademark for. All right. So I just put a pause check in here. I know I've been given a lot of information. Everybody still with me? Makes sense. Feel free to ask questions. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the presentation, but this can be interactive. If anybody has questions, wants to interrupt me, go ahead. All right, let's keep going. How are we doing on time? We're okay, right? Yeah, about a half hour into it.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right.
Be sure to give you the high sign if we're running close to time.
I appreciate that. Okay. All right. So now that we understand what a brand is, right? We understand how valuable that brand is. And again, I'm going to say it again, most important, I think most valuable asset, your business asset. And we understand that we protect them with trademarks. Let's talk a little bit about trademarks. There are three kinds of trademarks, and kinds isn't really the right word, but I couldn't think of a better word. The first type of trademark you're going to get is a common law trademark, right? So common law marks are, as soon as you start using some sort of indicator of the source of your product or services, so your business name, your tagline, your logo, even like a color scheme, as soon as you start using it in that way, you automatically get common law trademark rights. They attach right away. So that's good news. So if you do have a business name, or logo, you're well on your way. You've got those common law rights. Second level of trademarks, we're talking about state level trademarks. So this is many states go a step beyond the common law, Massachusetts included, where you can file with the Secretary of State a trademark registration and say, look, I'm using this name, I'm using this symbol, I'm using this color, this sound, whatever it is. This is to associate with my business. These state trademarks are generally pretty easy compared to the one we're going to talk about last to obtain. I don't want to say it's a rubber stamp. You do have to fill out a form. There are some requirements. They are going to make sure that that your trademark meets the requirements. But generally, these sail right through, and they're not too expensive. But there's a downside to that, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Highest level of trademark is the federal trademarks. These are the trademarks that are in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. This is federal registration. You get the trademark in all 50 states. And you get some pretty special rights once you register a federal trademark. In my opinion, well, not in my opinion, in everyone's opinion, these are the absolute best way to get a trademark. A federal trademark will trump a state level or a common law trademark every time. This is really what you want. And why are they better? Why are federal trademarks with the USPTO? Why is that better than just having a common law trademark or a state trademark? Few different reasons. One, the biggest is you get that nationwide protection. All right, if you file a state level trademark or you're just using a common law trademark, it's just going to be in your area, right? If you get something registered with the USPTO, your trademark is good through the whole country. Nobody else can use it, right? And you get that coverage. You also get much stronger legal protection. Okay. You might have heard the phrase, don't make a federal case out of this, right? I'm stealing that from Paul Giamatti a little bit, but it's very true. If you have a federal trademark, that means if somebody is using your mark, if Delicious Daddies comes in and starts trying to steal Yummy Mummy's goodwill, we can write a letter and we can say, look, we have this federal trademark. Here's a number, look it up. Stop using that name, or we're going to have a federal judge come and tell you to stop using that name. And nobody wants that. There is a whole bunch of law based on the Lanham Act very robust remedies that are in place. It's just a much easier time, much better way to protect it. If you do have to go to court, it's a much more straightforward process than it is going to be trying to work through the state courts, where everything isn't as well defined. You also have enhanced remedies. There's some automatic remedies built in with the federal trademarks. And then it's going to make people stop right away. You also have something called incontestability, all right, with federal trademarks. You don't get this anywhere else. This is a little bit of a more advanced concept of basically 5 years after registering your trademark, you file some documents with the USPTO, and your trademark then becomes what we call incontestable. What that basically means in layman terms is it becomes very, very, very difficult for anybody to invalidate your trademark. Nobody can come back. Once you have that incontestability status, you are bulletproof. And trademarks, unlike every other kind of IP, intellectual property, trademarks last forever. You have the longest right. As long as you're using a trademark, it continues. Think how long Coke's been around, right? John Deere, all of these things, they will just go on in perpetuity as long as you're still using the mark. So having that incontestable status on a mark, extremely valuable. And the bottom line here is I'm having a little fun with the symbols, but a federal trademark, that's the circle R, is much, much greater than having a state level or a common law trademark. And I'll point out here that the circle R, you only use that circle R when you have a federally registered trademark from the USPTO. That's when you use circle R. Every other kind of trademark has to use the TM. So if you've ever been confused about the symbols, that's the difference. And this is a pretty general statement here, but the only real reason you would ever use a state level trademark or even rely on a common law trademark is if you can't get a federal trademark. Or maybe as a backup. You have a federal trademark, but you're a little worried that it's too close to some other marks that might get invalidated down the line. You might have a state level as a backup. That's really the only reason. What you really want is if you're using these marks, again, to protect the most valuable asset of your business, go and get that federal trademark. It's going to give you much better protection. Okay, so next topic we're going to go into here is the hierarchy of trademarks.
Can I ask
And we're
a
really
question?
talking. Oh, sure, jump right in.
Hi, sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
And we can certainly revisit this if, it's better toward the end, but, so, I actually have, my company name is federally trademarked. So I did get that done a couple of years ago. But I have a lot of service names and program names, and I just wonder how important it is. Like I'm more in the education space. I provide internship services, work with both companies and young people. And, I'm a program designer. I'm a creative person. I feel like I'm always coming up with the next thing, but at least now I can tell you that I have very specific service names, right? Programs that I
Yep.
run. And so one program that I really love the name, and I've just been putting the TM, even though that is not technically trademark, but I wasn't sure what to do with it, but it's an example of a program name. So it's called the Internship Insider. It's a
Yep.
membership. So I put Internship Insider in all caps with the TM after that because somebody had given me that advice like a year ago. So I've just been rolling with it. But it's just like sitting there. And I'm wondering if you can just comment on, for somebody like me that has more of like, I would say it's more service-based, kind of intellectual property. Like in that case, like how important is it to also trademark, whether it's federal or state, the program and service names that I have versus like the company name?
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I think you did get good advice. You are using the TM correctly because you have a
Okay.
common law trademark. Because any mark, any indicator of your service, your products, and remember, trademarks cover both products and services. So even though
Right.
I have a service-based business, right, legal services, but my logo and my name are both filed for trademarks. You can do that, and really your product name. So if you've got a service name or a product name like that, that you are using and it's specific to what you do, you certainly want protection on that because you don't want a competitor coming in and trying to use a similar sounding name or that exact name to try to steal, business from you, or steal goodwill from you. So having a common law trademark and by putting that TM, you are putting the world on notice, or you're putting everybody that sees that marketing material that you do, or those products or that service on notice. Hey, this is a trademarked term. Don't use this, which is important. What would be
Yeah.
a step better would be to get that federal level trademark
So,
for the names you care about.
so for each of the program names, so, and again, we can come back, I don't mean to keep talking, but just like
No,
examples, so like,
good.
the main program is like Internship Insider membership, and then we have something called On Track, and then we have on the young person side, we have the Career and Leadership Accelerator, the Career and Leadership Conference, and then I have like more individual coaching that I don't need to kind of deal with, name that,
Right.
but that kind of thing, I'm like, the progress is that like I'm not going to keep renaming stuff. Like we know what things are called. I went through this process
Yep.
that I was changing what I was calling things, but now that I know what I'm calling things, are you suggesting that at least for those 4 core, services, I should go after federal trademark for all 4?
Yeah,
Ideal.
if they're important, identify like tentpole service names in your business.
Yeah.
I think getting the strongest protection on those is important. Now you don't have to name, you don't have to trademark every single product, or every product name or every service name. I mean, some companies do. I mean, I can tell you, like Coke or John Deere, they probably have portfolios of thousands of trademarks. Not every small business
Right.
owner is going to want to do that. But the key important ones you're probably going to want to. And some of the ones that you mentioned might not be trademarkable for reasons we're going to talk about in a minute, at least at the federal level, because other people might be using similar names already.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
if
you.
that's the case, then that's fine. You just kind of keep your head down. You just kind of say, hey, we're not trying to infringe on anybody. But what was that first one you said? Something insider?
Internship Insider membership.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
mean,
I'm
if
putting a
that's like,
TM after the Internship Insider because I did a little look. I do have a business lawyer that I consulted on, and she did a little
yeah,
research. There was some sort of it was a career related newsletter at a college in Connecticut or something. They used that Internship Insider, but it was like it wasn't to serve, like this is to serve businesses, helping businesses set up and run internship programs. So she
right.
said it was different enough, but I still don't have it protected other than me with my little TM that I just inserted. So it just makes me nervous.
Yeah, yeah, and you're probably using that TM because it is a common law trademark. But yeah, that might run into some friction if we try to file that in the USPTO. Might be something we take offline. I'm gonna mention
Okay,
at the end of this.
thank you.
How you can kind of get a brand evaluation with me for free. It's usually I charge about 500, but because you guys are showed up to this webinar, I'm gonna waive the fee on that. Just spoiler alert. I'll talk about it at the end, but we might talk one-on-one about that strategy, about that brand strategy, and what should and shouldn't be trademarked. Makes sense. All right, I'll keep moving on. Any other questions or anything? All right. This actually, thank you so much for that question. It really goes right into this next topic here, because not all trademarks are created equal, right? So we're talking about these words, a generic trademark. So the name of what a product or service is, right? That can never ever be a trademark, right? So think about apple for fruit or ivory for tusks, right? We can't, if I'm running a fruit stand, I can't trademark the word apple. Everybody that sells apples needs to be able to use the word apple. So we can't do that. So if something's generic, a word is generic, it can't ever be a trademark. The next level up from generic is what we call descriptive. And this would be something, a word or a phrase that just describes what the product or the service is. My favorite example is New England Law School because I went there. This is just describing where the school is, right? Now, typically, you can't get on its own, a descriptive trademark can't be trademarked, but you can acquire distinctiveness. You can prove to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office that, hey, we've done some work, and even though this is a merely descriptive word or phrase that we're using to describe our products, we've done the work and now it's specifically ours. The customer base identifies us with this mark. And you can, New England Law School is certainly trademarked right now. So it's not that you can't just get a descriptive trademark, but there's more work involved. The next level up, I skipped past it, but other descriptive marks might be something like, #1 best ice cream, right? That's just describing the ice cream. I'm dating myself with this, but does anyone remember the 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions? That
Oh,
song that
yes.
McDonald's did?
Oh,
That is
yeah.
the ultimate descriptive trademark, right? It's just a list of the ingredients in the sandwich, right? But they certainly have trademarked that whole thing because they acquired distinctiveness by running a major ad campaign, and they proved to the patent office that that's what we're doing, right? So you can get descriptive trademarks through. Oops, I went the wrong way. The next step up is suggestive. This is where the word or phrase you're using to identify your goods, there's some connection, but it takes a little imagination to get there. All right. Think about igloo coolers, right? Why igloo coolers? Okay, because igloos are made of ice. Okay, they're cold. All right, you got to take a leap. So it's not necessarily describing it. And really, it's not that great a name, right? Because igloos keep things warm, don't they? That's why we have igloos, so that people can go in and stay warm. Eskimo pie, right? That's an ice cream sandwich. There's some kind of imagination there to get there. So that's suggestive. That's a step up from descriptive. Next step up is arbitrary, right? This is where the word or the phrase that you're using to identify the product has no connection, right, to that product or service. So in this case, think about Apple for computers. Apple for fruit, that's generic, but apples have nothing to do with computers. So that's arbitrary. We're just using an arbitrary word or an arbitrary phrase to describe it. So we can have, the zebra hoof ice cream shop, right? You can tell why I'm a lawyer and not a marketing person. I don't come up with good business names. So that's even better than suggestive, right? And the strongest at the very top of the heap here is fanciful, right? Fanciful is just a made-up word. Exxon, Zippo, IntelliState Law, right? These are words that are not in the dictionary. These are words that people just made up. That is the strongest level of trademark. So this is a very kind of complicated topic, and there's fuzziness between these different categories, and people will fight about these. But what I really want you to take away from this is when you are coming up with terms, if you're naming your service, if you're naming your business, if you're naming a product, coming up with a tagline, it's better to be higher on this list. You're going to get a stronger trademark. If you make up a name, you might be in love with this name, but if it's just descriptive, you might have a hard time trademarking it. It's better to maybe do something suggestive, arbitrary, even fanciful. Fanciful is the top. But you also need to balance that, obviously, with business concerns, right? You need a term, you need a name that's going to be good in the market. You can't be, Zip Bob, ice cream shop. That's probably not going to play. It's probably not going to stick in people's heads. So it's a balance, and that's part of what we do. All right. So I want to talk about a few things that you should do and consider before filing a trademark application. I think it's a little illustrated for getting your ducks in a row. First thing is you want to conduct a trademark search, and we just heard from the question, right? Another company was using that term, but in another context, right? A good trademark search is going to come up with that, and you're probably going to want to engage a trademark attorney to help you do this. Doing this on your own it's not going to be best, right? And trademark attorneys, we have search services we use. We're specially trained how to do this. But you want to see what's out there. What have other people trademarked before? What are other people using in the world before you spend money trying to file an application? Second thing is you're going to want to finalize your logo. So if you're using a logo, one of those, like those symbols or one of those hybrids where it's like the words and the symbol together, once you file an application, that's it. You can't make any tweaks. If George in marketing says, you know what, I want to just change it. I want to add one more little spot on this bottom. It's too late. You have to restart your application to pay the money again. So you want to make sure that you are at the absolute, this is what we're using before you file the application. You also want to decide who is going to own your trademark, okay? And this brings up a good point. A trademark has tremendous value. A very good trademark filed, that's going to add value to your business. right? It's going to be an asset when someone comes in to do an evaluation on your business, right? To value your business. Whether you're taking a loan, you're selling the business, you're bringing on a partner, having a portfolio of like 5 to 10 like really strong marks, that's a huge business asset. You don't want to own that in your own name, right? You want to make sure you own that in the name of your company. Or maybe you have your business is set up, you've got multiple LLCs and they're all owned by a parent corporation or something like that, or wherever you're structured. You want to decide where that trademark is going to get owned. You need to decide that before you file because the owner needs to be listed on the application. You can change it later, but it's better to do it up front and get that done. So it's just important consideration. Fourth thing I want you to think about is decide if you want that word trademark, that design trademark, that logo, that hybrid combination, or maybe multiple, right? I filed a word trademark for IntelliState Law. I also filed just the logo by itself, right? That made sense for us. I might want to do both of these together. It depends how I'm using the marks in commerce. So really, that's a big part of what a trademark attorney will do with you. We'll sit down, we will do an evaluation of your brand. We will see what makes sense, how you're using these marks, how you want to identify yourself, what's the most cost-effective way to get you that brand protection. So it's important to do that before you file, so you're not filing too much or too little. You also, and this is the most difficult part of the application, is what class or classes are your trademark going to cover? The USPTO has every good and service divided into 45 separate classes. And in each one of those classes is hundreds, if not thousands, of goods and or services that are part of that class. So you need to decide how you're using that mark, right? If I'm opening up an ice cream stand and I want to call it, Zebra Hoof Ice Cream, what if I want to also sell t-shirts? Then I need to decide, okay, we're also selling t-shirts. We're also selling sunglasses. It's really important to decide where that's going to be because that explains how you're going to file. And that description of goods and services is very critical to the application. Again, this is something you're going to work on with your trademark attorney. You're also going to determine whether you're filing an in-use application or an intent-to-use application. So trademarks, unlike something like a domain name, right, or a business name, you can't just park them. You can't think of, oh, I've got the greatest idea for an ice cream stand ever. This is what we'll call it, and this will be the logo. My wife has the best name ever for a bookstore. That's been her dream, is to open up a small bookstore coffee shop someday in the future. She can't just trademark that and sit on it until she's ready to open the bookstore. The government doesn't let you do that. If you're going to file for trademark protection, you either need to be using it in commerce or you plan to be using it soon in the next 3 years. But I would say even shorter than that. And then for each of those categories, it's a different application process. So you need to kind of decide, is this mark I'm using? Now you might file an intent to use because I've got a great idea, but I want to see if I'm going to get the trademark before I invest thousands of dollars into marketing materials. Let me see what the patent office is going to say beforehand. So that's when intent to use is very valuable. Again, more strategies that you talk about before you file. Any questions on any of that? That was a lot of
Amy
things there.
had another question, but I'm going to.
Oh, sure.
That we hold the questions till the end. Because
okay.
10 minutes.
We'll do that.
Under 10
we're getting near the end here. Yeah, we're running a little short, but this is the last little section here.
So Amy, I'll relay your question at the end.
Yeah. So we'll just do a quick on how to obtain trademark protection. So this is just some tips on what you want to do. First thing, and I understand this is self-serving. Okay, I get it, but I do mean this sincerely. I'm not doing this to try to just sell you guys on trademark services, but use an experienced trademark attorney. Again, this is your brand. This is the most valuable asset you have in your business. Protect it. Do it correctly. And it's not just me that says that. The USPTO, they highly recommend you use an experienced trademark attorney. It's very important. We're going to work with you. We're going to do that counseling. We're going to make sure that you have a good filing strategy. And we're going to assist with searching. And that application process is not easy. It is something you're allowed to do by yourself, but highly discouraged from doing it yourself. You get someone who knows how to do it. Along the same lines, avoid trademark filing firms and filing services. If you want to go on Google right now and you search file my trademark, you're going to come up with, I think, half a dozen
That is wonderful.
So a couple of questions. I know I ran a little longer than I did in rehearsal.
No, you're pretty much on time. I really appreciate this. And I will relay the question that went into the chat from Amy. And she said, my LLC owns my DBA trademark. What happens to my trademark if or when I convert to an S Corp?
Oh, that's fine. So what you'll do is we just have to assign it to the new, your LLC is going to, well, are you saying making the S Corp election, or you're actually going to form a new business entity?
I was in the future, and I'm not there yet. I was thinking that my business would eventually file the S Corp. I would stay as my name, but it would
Okay.
be converted. I don't know if that's considered restarting or if it's just converting the legal.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not a business attorney, but I do know from running my business and talking to business attorneys, that's not changing the entity. So just making that S corp election instead of being a disregarded entity, which you are now, that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm a disregarded entity right now. I have no employees. It doesn't make sense to be S corp yet. That's just an election. You're not actually changing the entity. Business entities like LLCs, S corps, C corps, even partnerships, they are legal people, right? And they can own things, they can own property, including intellectual property like your trademarks. Now, if say, you got merged, with somebody else, you became a partner and you formed a completely new business entity, you formed an S corp or a C corp, you can transfer the ownership of your trademark to that new form. You can sell your trademark. If you sell your business and the new business owner opens up a new company, you can transfer that trademark over to them. So real intellectual property is like real property. It can be bought, sold, everything.
Mm-hmm. And Jason, so that's a very generous offer to your fellow chamber members. Thank you so
Sure.
much for that. That's really amazing. I will take advantage of that, as you can probably imagine.
Absolutely.
Just wondering logistically, do you want us to set up that 15-minute slot to discuss that, or do you want us to just set up the 1 hour instead?
No, so call it 15 minutes. I find it's better if we chat for a few minutes before we book
Okay,
those sessions, so I can
sure.
get a handle on what your business is, and I can do my homework because I want to make the most of your time. So if you want to, so that QR code will give you take you to my Calendly where you can book a 15-minute call with me. That'll be the first step, and from there we'll book the 1 hour, and
Okay.
the 1 hour thing is what I'm giving away. I always answer questions for free. I don't charge people to talk to me on the phone for 10 minutes. But when we book that strategy session, that's what I would charge the $500 for, but that's what I'm going to waive
Okay,
for
and
anybody on this
That's
webinar.
helpful.
that's great. Where are you located? I missed the very beginning of your presentation. I
Oh,
apologize.
sure. Yeah, we're right in Northborough.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yep.
nice.
Yeah,
Well,
I
thank you.
actually didn't even put that in my the bio, so you didn't miss
Oh,
that.
gee, I should have. See the branding. I need to do the better branding and get where we are on location.
Well, I see that your shirt matches your logo. Is that?
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
impressive.
the color. I was like,
I am married to an English teacher she works part-time. She is my secret weapon. She has all kinds of merch for us. She made
oh,
this. This just appeared one
amazing.
day. And I'm like,
Oh
how
my
did you
God.
do that? She's like, it's no problem. But teachers can do anything. So
Oh my God,
This
that's
is
so
great.
sweet that you're raving about her.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I can see now that on it is your logo. I was like, ooh, that you got the same green, but I see what
yeah.
you did. And Monica, what business are you in?
We're in smart home installation and integration. We're actually right near you all are in Intellistate. I just found that out.
That's great. Yeah, we were putting our contact and descriptions of businesses and contact information in the chat, Amy. So yes, thanks
Yeah,
for that again,
I did
Jason.
not
That's
put the
helpful to
address on
see.
this slide. We really should have.
Yeah.
But that's our building.
Very cool.
I'll
Now we
take
can
that for the
recognize it.
future. Yeah.
So were there any other questions, Monica, Chris? So I want to say thank you so much to Jason. This has been very helpful. I would say this definitely qualifies as a valuable webinar for our members. In the next day or so, you all will receive a survey as well as a recording of this webinar. And I request that you please fill out the survey because that allows the program committee to find out what it is you want to learn more about. And we will create new webinars to address what you're looking for. So we try and be very responsive to the Quarter 9 members. I do want to let everyone know that our next webinar will be held on Wednesday, December 4th, and it's called How to Massively Grow Sales in 2025. So who doesn't want to do that? And so I ask that you register to join us the next time you see that come through your email. I really appreciate everyone coming here today. And, huge thanks to Jason for sharing this really valuable information to us all. And unless
Happy to
there's
help.
further questions, and and I'm just looking and I'm not seeing anybody raising their hands. I really appreciate your time today. And thank you so much for being part of the Quarter 9495 Chamber of Metro West Region webinar series. Thanks so much.